The disquiet and uneasy calm that enveloped the fate of the remaining abducted passengers of the ill-fated Kaduna-Abuja train of March 28 has been punctured by their families. They have raised an alarm over safety of the abducted passengers and asked the federal government to help free them from captivity, following reports that one of the hostages was shot. During a visit to some members of the House of Representatives, the families urged government to intensify the search for the abducted victims. Gentlemen, it's been more than 3 months now. Jude.
It's
94 days now.
Yeah, 94 days and still counting. Now, you know what these terrorists are, the abductors, what they are doing now is they threaten them with snakes, scorpions, and even shoot some of them and release some of the captives to go and tell the story. One of those captives who just gained freedom said 5 days after he was released, he was having nightmares, couldn't sleep. He was just wondering what he went through in that place. And you know, the government is in the catch-22 situation. Where bandits or abductors or kidnappers are asking for their members to be released in exchange for those they have held captive. So no serious government will just go hook, line, and sinker and accede to that kind of demand. I mean, it takes a lot of negotiation. Even the government will prefer to pay cash than some of their members. So it's a very difficult situation for government. But then I believe that if we have heeded the call for us to increase security on that route, despite the fact that there were threats and there were signs that that type of attack could happen. Even the fact that we also have some military men on board that train that day. Still, that didn't happen. So calls to question need for us to improve on our security architecture and intelligence gathering. Because right now, families of those who are still held in captive, I don't want to imagine how they are feeling, what they are going through. It's really, really bad.
All right, Leko, we can see these bandits are getting bolder by the day, and now they are going on with the threat of killing those in hostage. Majid has said this is a very difficult situation for the government. And as citizens, how serious is this?
Sometime in 2015, on this program, when we had seen in the old studio, 2015 or 2016, I can't remember now. I think Majid was also on set that day. There was this talk about if is request for negotiation to free some of the operatives of some of the terrorists that have been that are in custody, so that the Chibok girls will be freed. Yeah. I remember saying that if my daughter was one of those people, or those kids, I will vote that government should please swap them so I can have my daughter back. My position still hasn't changed. You see, nobody asked you for the established police force or the army or air force, or were you ever consulted whether you needed an army or police? That is the job of government. It's Section 14 of the Nigerian Constitution says, job number 1 of government. It mentions security before it talks about welfare, which is the economy. Security and welfare of the people is job number 1. Who says that the terrorist that is freed, that you say, go and sin no more, and then he goes to sin, that you can't pick him up again? But in the meantime, you already have the safety of citizens of Nigeria that you have been elected and you swore an oath to protect. You understand? So, as far as I'm concerned, the safety of those people is paramount to me.
All right, gentlemen, now less than 6 months apart, we've had 2 attacks on our rail infrastructure. Isn't this a sign or a symptom of a country in distress? And looking at the fact that leaders are shying away from this reality.
Our military, or rather our security architecture is overstretched. But then, we have countries that are bigger than us. We need more of technology to fight these insurgents. I mean, we have been saying it several times. We acquired the Tucano fighters, but there's a constraint. The American government actually put a proviso that you can't use it to fight outside of the Northeast. And it has to be basically so how do you deploy? But then there are some other equipment. I mean, there's a limit to which we can discuss security on national television, but I believe that our security experts should step up their game. Intelligence gathering, logistics, strategy, very, very key. We need to get more of this so as to checkmate these bandits. They are not as sophisticated as our trained men.
Military personnel.
But the resources that are made available that will provide an enabling environment for our security forces, especially those in the face of the war, which will allow these things to get to them, because some these things demoralize them at times when even their allowance, their upkeep don't get to them on time. And these are guys who are exposed to the bandits. We have some of our guys giving information to bandits, to terrorists, but this has reduced over time now. So we need to actually tighten these loose ends to ensure that we don't have a repeat of occurrence of this dastardly acts.
All right, thank you, Majid. Before I come to Lekon, let's have Olawale calling from Ikorodu.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
And God bless you. Majid, yes. I just have 2 brief comments. When are we going to have a shift? Successive presidents have only been sending lists of ministerial nominees to the Senate without attaching their portfolio, as you have observed. So we end up having square O in Rampeg. Most of the ministers don't perform. Okay? Look at the president has fired only 1 minister since 2015. That was the Minister of Agriculture for incompetence. Secondly, look, don't let us overstretch this matter. The southern governors, with due respect, they are not serious. You could remember there was one Asaba declaration. The southern governors themselves on anti-grazing started sabotaging it right from
All right,
Asaba.
thank you very much, Olawale. Thank you so much. Now, we have very few limited time to go on the show. Now, let's talk about data and emergency response in times of disasters like this. Lekon, how do we build on this to avert this kind of disaster? Because it looks like we are kind of weak. And these bandits can see through.
General Babangida said that we shouldn't say that the military is overwhelmed. We should say military is overstretched. There's no doubt that we need more men, we need more boots on the ground, we need more equipment. That's number one. But I doubt if we actually have the will to resolve the security issue. Somebody, a 93-year-old Nigerian, was talking to me the other day, called me, and he says, isn't there something called nav gas? Since you say you talk to them, you say you know them, you say you know where they are, and the human GPS, Sheikh Gumi, seems to be in touch with them. Somebody who had a military, he retired as a captain in the military. So he seems to, the same training that our standing soldiers have, he has had. So he's able to establish relationship and access to them. Why don't you put the gas there? Everybody sleeps. both the abductors and the abductees. Then you swoop in, you separate them, and then it shows that you are serious.